Assalamu alaikum students, I'm your ma'am Ms. Sadia Qureshi from Dubai Mahal Degree College for Women, Bahawalpur, and today I'm here with another chapter from the book of second year, and today's chapter is about Mustafa Kamal. This is a very interesting chapter because it has taught a lot to me about what is patriotism, how one can become a very great person in the eyes of his nation, and how one can start from scratch. It does not mean that one is always the son or the daughter of a very established businessman and can earn respect among the people. It is possible that you can work hard, it is possible that you can use your luck, it is possible that you can make a lot of effort to make this world always remember you till the history ends. So this chapter has motivated me a lot. But before going into the detail of this chapter, I would like to tell you a little or short, brief kind of history of who was Mustafa Kamal. So when we start, we see that Mustafa Kamal is a person who is the son of a very ordinary kind of person who used to work in a timber market. The mother was coming from the royal blood, so we see that Mustafa Kamal has this royalty in his blood. But the hard work is also there in his blood. We see that Mustafa Kamal is the brother of coming from the family where there are 5 more children, and unfortunately we see all of them die except one sister. At the age of 6, Mustafa Kamal's father also passed away. At this time, the mother got the son and the daughter to the village and she started residing in the village. We see that Mustafa Kamal gets his early education from the village school to the age of 8. We see him coming back to the city life at the age of 12, and we see him that he is such an interesting and such an intelligent person that a teacher from his mathematics class, he calls him that you are a Kamal man. He asks who is, we can ask like who has given this name Kamal to Mustafa Kamal. So we should remember that Kamal was not actually his family name. This name was given to him from his teacher because he is very intelligent. Kamal is basically the word of Arabic and the meaning of Kamal is perfect. So this is on the lighter note, I have given you a very interesting kind of information that Mustafa Kamal was not the family name. Kamal was actually given to him as the title from his mathematics teacher. We see Mustafa Kamal joining army, and we could not imagine that this man who was residing there in the village, the father passed away, the mother had lived in a very hard circumstances, so this man would become the greatest general of the Turkish army. Now we move towards the chapter and we see that the background of the chapter tells us that the First World War is going to be an end, and after these 4 years of trouble and turmoil, we see that Turkish people are feeling a kind of relief. Basically, the First World War was between the countries of France and England, and the opposition parties were Turkish people and Germany. Turkey was basically fighting in alliance with Germany. So the Turkish people were very happy that the war has ended. We see that the allied forces are there in Turkey and they wanted to divide Turkey into parts, and they wanted to divide it and distribute all those parts among the allied forces. So Turkish people were very much disturbed on this point. We see that who is the Sultan? Sultan is basically Mehmed IV, who is the last Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Now we see that Mehmed IV is a weak person. Mehmed has thought that I would ally with this army and I would be friends with all these people, so I'm going to run my country smoothly in that way. But allied forces asked Mehmed to put an end to all the rebellion which is going on in the country, because some of the patriots were so exhausted and so perturbed that they wanted their country back. So they were fighting little fights with all these allied forces, and Mehmed was asked to send someone to the province of to the city of Anatolia and to put an end to all these rebellious causes. So Mehmed thought much about this, who is he is going to send, and then he thought that okay, Mustafa Kamal is one of those persons I can send. So he sent Mustafa Kamal And when Mustafa Kamal reached to the harbor, there was a news that Mustafa Kamal is also going to join these rebel forces. But before Mehmet could catch hands on Mustafa Kamal left for Anatolia, and over there he met a great friend whose name was Ali Fought. And Ali has told him or made him meet with the people who were there in rebellion forces, and they made their own guerrilla force. And Mustafa Kamal said that I'm going to head all these people and we are going to get our country back. So till here हम ये देखते हैं कि मुस्तफ़ा कमाल जो है वो कंट्री से बाहर सिटी से बाहर आ गए हैं कुस्तुनतुनिया के, और अब वो जो हैं वो अनातोलिया के अंदर हैं, एंड ही वांट्स टू हेल्प ऑल दोज पीपल हु आर देयर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पेट्रियट. Now we see that Mehmet is extremely angry because Allied forces wants to release their orders of division of this country, Turkey. So Mehmet wants Mustafa Kamal to come back, and Mustafa Kamal sends a message to Mehmet that I would not come back unless and until I would not make my country free. So this dialogue कि मैं उस वक्त तक वापस नहीं आऊँगा जब तक मैं अपना कंट्री आज़ाद नहीं करा लेता, ये एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्टोरिकल डायलॉग माना जाता है मुस्तफ़ा कमाल की पर्सनालिटी के हवाले से. We see that Allied forces release another order, and they say that we are going to give the city of Izmir to the Greeks because Turkey के हिस्से हो रहे हैं. तो the people who are there living in Izmir are also very much disturbed, and the people living in the other parts of Turkey are very much disturbed because they do not want that the richest part or the richest province of Turkey should be given into the hands of in the hands of Greeks. So इज़मीर के साथ जो पोर्ट है जहाँ से इंपोर्ट होती है एक्सपोर्ट होती है वो भी जो है वो ग्रीक्स के हाथ में चली जाएगी. इसका मतलब ये है कि टर्की का सारा जो कैपिटल है या टर्की का सारा जो फाइनेंशियल जो हब है वो सारा का सारा ग्रीक्स के पास चला जाएगा. तो दिस मेड द कॉमन पीपल वेरी मच आउटरेजियस एंड दे वांटेड this not to happen. So the rebels established a guerrilla army and they started to kill Allied forces. Greeks decided to attack and form their government in Izmir, and as Izmir was officially declared to be given to them, so they had their right to get it back from the rebellious forces. अब हम यहाँ देखते हैं कि बहुत सारी जंगें हुई और उन जंगों में जो है वो मुस्तफ़ा कमाल के लोगों ने बढ़ चढ़ के हिस्सा लिया. उन्होंने इज़मीर पे हमला नहीं करने दिया, और हमला हो भी गया था तो उन्होंने वहाँ से जो है वो ग्रीक फोर्सेस को बाहर निकाला. Now we see that the rebel forces are there and they are fighting under the guerrilla force, and they are also, you know, the one very interesting thing is this that Allied forces के जितने भी डिपो से वहाँ पे जो भी सामान पड़ा हुआ था जंग के लिए, या गन्स पड़ी हुई थी, या फिर तोप वगैरह थी, या फिर गोला बारूद का जितना भी सामान पड़ा हुआ था, वो सारा का सारा जो है वो एलाइड फोर्सेस ने यूज़ करना था गुरिल्ला फोर्सेस के अगेंस्ट. बट गुरिल्ला फोर्सेस रीच देयर एंड दे defeated them, and they used their own weapons on these allied forces. So this was one thing which was showing us that the allied forces are not weak forces. They can get control of the country one day as well. Now we see that Mehmet is getting much angry because Mehmet does not want it. Mehmet also wanted कि उसको जो है वो कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल का जो शहर है सिर्फ वो मिला रहे और वो वहाँ पे अपनी हुकूमत करता रहे, वो वहाँ पर अपनी मर्ज़ी की कैबिनेट बनाए और वहाँ पर अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ वहीं पर रहता रहे. बाकी जो टर्की है वो कहीं पर भी तकसीम कर दिया जाए, ही हैज़ नो इंटरेस्ट इन ऑल दैट. But Mustafa Kamal was one of those people who does not want this to happen, and he was there with the people of, the common people of Turkey. So we see that time and again these fights happen, and time and again there are tussles between the allied forces and these guerrilla forces, and we see that the allied forces are guerrilla forces are trying to push them away into their own countries. Now we see that the condition of Mehmet is also getting weak because the Britishers also got this news or that Mehmet is losing control, and they also got this news that allied forces are attacking their allied forces are attacked by the guerrilla forces. They got this news that the rebellion has not been put down and it is going to be stronger and stronger day by day. So they made an effort and they put the next step because they did not want to lose trust in him. So what the next step they made is that they are going to say that Mehmed can made a cabinet of his own people in the form of government, and he can rule Constantinia or Constantinople under his own people. So Mehmed sent a message to Kamal Ataturk, and he said that I want to put an end to all this turmoil, and you should come back. I would lay aside and I would step aside, and you can form your own government, and you can choose your own people as the cabinet members, and you can do whatever you want in the city of Constantinople. Kamal Ataturk tells his companions that this can be a bait, or this can be a very harmful step if you go back. But some of the people go back, and some of the people trust Mehmed, and they go back and they think that we can form a government over there. But when they move back, and when they go back and join hands with Mehmed, they see that Mehmed has chosen his own people, and Mehmed has chosen those friends who can comply with him in all situations. So their going back was of no use. Now the next thing that I would like to tell you is that Mustafa Kamal was proved right, because when the people got this idea that Mehmed has chosen his own people, he was proved right. But they cannot move over there because there was a rule of Sultan, so they were not able to leave Constantinople. The next order that Mehmed gave was this, that he is going to divide Turkey under the control of allied forces. So this also again aroused a great kind of anguish in the minds of the common people, and the provinces were going to be divided under the Greek charges and the charges that can be taken by the Britishers or the French, and Constantinople only would remain the part of Turkey. So people turned against Mehmed on this step. People really got anguished, people really got angry, people really got disillusioned, they got feared, they got like what is going to be the future of their generations. Now during all these times, Mustafa Kamal was staying aside, and Mustafa Kamal actually was visiting the villages, and he was visiting all those cities which were nearby this Anatolia, and he was making people realize that if we want to get our country back, we need to be stronger and we need to be together. So he had made a lot of friends among those were very strong people who were there from the villages, and strong people who were there from the neighboring areas of Anatolia. Now he see that he has prepared a very great army against this allied forces and against the army of Mehmed. So the Greeks attacked Mustafa Kamal, and they wanted to get all those areas back from Mustafa Kamal, but we see that Mustafa Kamal has fought with his army in a great way, and he has guided them in such a way that all these fights were won by the rebellious forces, and all these fights were won by the Turkish people. So we see that allied forces, they resolved the cabinet. They said that the cabinet of Mehmed is not going to work more, and they said that the cabinet members should be dissolved and they should run away, otherwise we are going to kill. So the people who were once with this person Mustafa Kamal, and they left him for the sake of Mehmed, they came back and they joined Mustafa Kamal once again. Mustafa Kamal open-heartedly welcomed them, and he again involved them or engaged them in their army. Now we see that Turks all over the country hailed Mustafa Kamal's this effort, and they hailed him in the form that they gave him the title of Ataturk. Now we see that Ataturk is something that is considered to be the father of the nation. So we realized that the situation was getting worse for Mehmed to reside there. So one day Mehmed was found, who was the empire, who was the emperor of the greatest area of the land, and he was the emperor of last emperor of the Ottoman Empire. He is just stuck in his own house and on his own palace, and he is only having one garden which is a kind of park, and he got the control of only that park. And he asks for help, and the British army comes in an ambulance and they take Muhammad Fort with them in that ambulance. We see that Mustafa Kamal comes back to Constantinople. He gets hold of the government and he is trying to rule the country according to his own ways. He becomes the first prime minister of the country, and we see that Mustafa Kamal had made great reforms. Now the next part of this chapter is regarding the reforms, but I would not cover all the reforms because I'm going to tell you about the points which are discussed there under this Reformation period. He made transportational reforms. He made the ways for trains and the roads for transportation, and he made the reforms in economics. He built up the agriculture system. He built up canals. He built up villages in the form of most organized and most modern kind of cultivation. He has addressed. He has he has you can say he has told them the new and modern ways of civil cultivation. And in educational reforms, his name comes very much his name comes like a person who has tried to give information to everybody. There was no distinction between poor or rich. There was no difference between the younger people and the older people, and he has chosen people from the common people who can teach, who can read, who can write, and he made them their teachers. And he was the one who used to go to the schools without any prior notices, and he used to teach people as he was taught. So we see that he is having a duster in his hand, he is having a marker, or sorry, not marker, a chalk or something he can write on the board. And he has given education not as a teacher but as a prime minister. He was there as a common man, and he was talking and dealing with his nation as a common person. So we see him changing the written forms as well. He tried to make the language of the nation very simple, and he tried to tell people that this rasmul khat, or this way of writing, is very much difficult for the common people. So he changed all that writing style as well. His educational reforms were also including women to have education. It was mandatory for every woman to be educated, and we see him that he was a very strong kind of advocate of the rights of the women. He went to the villages, he went to those areas where there was a lot of population of women, and he asked women to come out of their houses, have have a part in the progress of the country. And he abolished the rule of this taking of abaya, and he said that women can move on anywhere, wherever they want. They can take part in the progress of the country. They can take admissions in the schools, and they can go to the universities, and they can do whatever they want. He has made this rule that women and men should wear hijab, was also abolished, and he said that women and men should wear hats. तो ये बहुत ही फ़नी थी वहाँ पे कि जब टर्की में कहीं हैट्स नहीं मिल रहे थे तो सब लोगों को हैट पहनना ज़रूरी था. तो they did not know how to make hats or how to wear hats, so they went to the areas where allied forces were there, and they took out the hats of those allied forces and the females who were the wives of those allied forces, and they wore them because he made it mandatory for everybody to wear hat. एंड वी सी दैट उसने सारे के सारे कर्ज़े भी उतार दिए. मुल्क पे जितना भी कर्ज़ा था उसने सारा का सारा उतार दिया, और उसने किसी से कोई कर्ज़ा नहीं लिया. जितना भी उनका प्रोडक्ट्स थे, जितने भी उनके वसाइल थे, ही यूज्ड ऑल दोज थिंग्स, एंड ही मेड people to get into this relief that they are not in debt with anyone in the whole world. He changed the dress code as well, and we see that Kamal Ataturk is considered to be the father of Turkish nation. हम देखते हैं कि कमाल अतातुर्क इज़ वन ऑफ दोज पीपल जिसकी तस्वीर हर ऑफिस के अंदर लगी होना ज़रूरी थी उस टाइम के अंदर भी जब ही वॉज लिविंग. ही वॉज अ लिविंग लेजेंड, बाय द वे, ही वॉज वेरी लिविंग लेजेंड. एंड वी सी जब टर्की आज़ाद होता है तो कमाल अतातुर्क किस तरह जो है वो अपनी गाड़ी में बग्गी में बैठा हुआ आता है, एंड टॉक्स टू द पीपल, एंड he cheers with them, and he is not behaving like a prime minister. He is behaving like a person who is very close to the heart of the common public. So here we end our chapter, and I hope you have gained a bit of this, I guess, because these YouTube lectures are there for your help, and I would like you people to subscribe to this channel. I would like you people to share this channel. I would like everyone to take advantage from these lectures. So I hope I'm going to see you next time with the other